Some relationships don't end with a bang. They end quietly, slowly, painfully, not because you stopped loving them, but because you stopped recognizing yourself. This video is not here to rush you. It's not here to tell you to give up easily. And it's definitely not here to shame you for staying longer than you should have. This is a mirror. And sometimes the hardest thing isn't leaving a relationship. It's admitting that the relationship has already left you. So take a deep breath. Listen with honesty. And if some of these signs hurt, that might be the truth trying to reach you. Let's begin. Sign 1. You feel lonely even when you're together. Loneliness in a relationship hits differently. You can be sitting next to your partner, sharing a bed, sharing meals, sharing years, and still feel emotionally alone. You stop sharing your thoughts because they don't listen. You stop expressing feelings because they dismiss them. You stop talking altogether because silence feels safer than being misunderstood. If your partner is physically present but emotionally unavailable, and you constantly feel unseen, unheard, and unchosen, that's not companionship. That's emotional isolation. Love should make you feel connected, not abandoned in company. Sign 2. You're constantly making excuses for their behavior. At first, you explain it to friends. They didn't mean it. They're just stressed. That's just how they are. Then you explain it to yourself. You excuse disrespect. You excuse broken promises. You excuse emotional neglect. And slowly, you stop asking for better because you're too busy defending what's hurting you. When you have to constantly translate bad behavior into acceptable behavior, that relationship is draining your self-worth. Love doesn't need constant justification. Sign 3. Your needs are always too much. You ask for communication, they say you're nagging. You ask for reassurance, they say you're insecure. You ask for effort, they say you're demanding. Over time, you start shrinking yourself. You stop expressing needs. You stop asking questions. You stop expecting consistency. Not because your needs disappeared, but because you learned they weren't welcome. In a healthy relationship, your needs matter. They are not an inconvenience. If you feel guilty for wanting basic emotional care, that relationship is teaching you to abandon yourself. Sign 4. You feel anxious more than you feel loved. Love should feel safe. Not perfect, not drama-free, but safe. If your relationship constantly triggers anxiety, wondering where you stand, overthinking their tone, fearful of bringing things up, walking on eggshells, that's your nervous system sounding an alarm. Love does not keep you in a permanent state of emotional tension. Peace is not boring. Chaos is not passion. If calm feels unfamiliar, you might be confusing anxiety for love. Sign 5. The relationship is all potential, no progress. You keep believing in who they could be. If they just change this one thing, when they finally mature, once things settle down. But years pass, promises repeat. Nothing actually changes. Potential is not a relationship. Hope is not a plan. You're dating who they are, not who they promise to become. If you're staying because of a future that never arrives, you're sacrificing your present for a fantasy. And love should be lived, not postponed indefinitely. Sign 6. You're no longer yourself. You don't laugh the same, you don't dream the same, you don't feel confident anymore. You used to feel alive. Now you feel drained. You censor your personality. You dim your light. You change who you are to avoid conflict. A relationship should expand you, not erase you. If loving someone requires you to abandon yourself, the cost is too high. Love should feel like becoming more of who you are, not disappearing slowly. Sign 7. Trust is broken and never repaired. Mistakes happen. People are imperfect, but trust, once broken, must be rebuilt intentionally. If there's been cheating, lying, betrayal, or repeated dishonesty, and no genuine accountability, no consistent effort, no real change, then the wound never heals. It just stays open. You can't love someone freely when you're constantly suspicious. You can't feel safe where honesty is optional. Trust is not restored by words, it's restored by patterns. If the patterns haven't changed, neither has the truth. Sign 8. You're the only one trying. You're the one initiating conversations. You're the one fixing problems. You're the one apologizing. You're the one holding everything together. Love is not meant to be a solo effort. If you stop trying and everything collapses, you are never in a partnership. You are in a performance. Relationships require mutual effort, not one person carrying the emotional weight of two. If you're exhausted from always being the strong one, that's your sign. Sign 9. You feel more pain than joy. Every relationship has ups and downs, but ask yourself honestly, does this relationship bring more happiness or more hurt? Are the good moments rare and the pain constant? Do you replay arguments more than you replay laughter? Love should add value to your life, not consume it with emotional distress. If the relationship feels like survival instead of growth, it's no longer healthy. Staying in constant pain is not loyalty, it's self-neglect. Sign 10. Your values no longer align. Love alone is not enough. If you disagree on core values, respect, honesty, commitment, goals, or boundaries, love becomes a battlefield. You may love each other deeply, but want completely different lives, and that doesn't make either of you wrong. But forcing compatibility where it doesn't exist leads to resentment. Love should feel aligned, not constantly compromised. Sign 11. You stay because you're afraid to leave. You're afraid of being alone, afraid of starting over, afraid you won't find better, afraid of wasting time. So you stay, not because you're happy, but because leaving feels scarier than suffering. Fear is not a reason to stay. It's a reason to pause and reflect. Being alone is not worse than being with someone who drains you. Loneliness outside a relationship is temporary. Loneliness inside one can last forever. Sign 12. Deep down, you already know. This is the quietest sign, but the loudest truth. That inner voice you keep ignoring, that heaviness in your chest, that moment when you imagine leaving and feel relief instead of heartbreak. You don't need more proof. You don't need another sign. Sometimes knowing is enough. And choosing yourself is not selfish. It's necessary. Ending a relationship doesn't mean you failed. It means you listened. It means you respected yourself. It means you chose healing over familiarity. Not every love is meant to last forever. Some are meant to teach you what you deserve. And if this video helped you feel seen, if it gave words to what you've been feeling, then you're not alone. You're just brave enough to face the truth. Take care of your heart. It deserves peace.